Good day. Han Solo. It is a name that echoes throughout the ages. Both sci-fi fan and normie know who Han the Man Solo is, even if they can't tell you the plot of Episode 4. Every sci-fi fan and normie knows who Chewbacca is, even if they have no idea that he is speaking Shirwook. Han and Chewie are the most enduring characters of all of Star Wars. It's not too far to say that Han and Chewie are Star Wars, and are the two characters that separate Star Wars from all other franchises. The reality is, Han and Chewie are not even original characters. They borrow heavily from the Western genre. Han and Chewie are basically space versions of the Lone Ranger and Tonto, although Han is a bit rougher than the Lone Ranger. Han is of the gunslinger archetype. He rides into town looking to make a buck, only to get drawn into some crazy adventure. He says he looks out only for number one, but he will protect his friends unto death. Han Solo stole the show in all the films, and this was not just due to Harrison Ford, but also due to how well the character was written. He never came off as too good and never came off as too bad. He was the perfect mix of hero classic and cool dude, and his Yahoo at the end of Episode 4 made him the immortal sci-fi icon that he is. And let's not forget the Millennium Falcon, a ship so cool that it can at times give the Enterprise, be it the Big D or the Connie, a run for its credits. It's a ship with personality, and it's basically Han Solo's horse equivalent. In some respects, it outshines the Enterprise because Han and Chewie do the work themselves and don't have an entire Starfleet backing them up. Most of the time, at least. Han is a character that is down to earth and real. As a kid, I wanted to be him way more than Luke because, to quote Men in Black, the difference between Han and Luke is, Han makes us look good. And so, in the true EU, Han got two fuck awesome, that is, high-tier Alpha Prime novel trilogies devoted solely to him. Han was a character that was so well-loved that after the release of A New Hope, the first ever Star Wars novel trilogy was devoted to his greatness. Today, we are starting our look at the Han Solo Adventures. The Han Solo Adventures was a trilogy of novels written by Brian Daley and released from 1979 to 1980, making it the second most early EU material, with only The Splinter of the Mind's Eye predating it. The novels were as follows: Han Solo at Star's End, Han Solo's Revenge, and finally, Han Solo and the Lost Legacy. Today, we are of course looking at the first Han Solo novel, Han Solo at Star's End. Before we get stuck in, one must remember that this novel was written in 1979, long predating the Thrawn trilogy, which was released in 1991. Han Solo at Star's End is fully in the EU and is fully compatible with the books that came out after. The EU always meant business. The novel begins with Han Solo on a smuggling run in the corporate sector. Since this novel predated Empire Strikes Back, this novel series is, dun dun dun, a prequel. What is it with Star Wars and prequels? Thankfully, Jar Jar is nowhere to be seen. Brian Daley was told by Lucasfilm to not have any of the other characters show up, and to not have the Empire take part either. Hence why he sets it in another part of the galaxy with a new faction. This inadvertently ensures that it does not interfere with later canon. The corporate sector is a crony capitalist society that is run by unelected corporate leaders. The corporate sector is in a region of space wherein sapient life did not arise. Hence why a bunch of megacorps were able to take over the region for resource extraction. Han is running some guns for some dissidents. The first chapter has Han pulling some epic stunts that are a bit of a call forward to Return of the Jedi. While escaping the corporate sector police, in universe called Espos, Han tears off the sensor dish. This seems to happen a lot to him for whatever reason. He delivers the guns to the dissidents and tries to affect an I don't care image, but he eventually relents and gives them some advice on how to fight. He delivers them some blaster carbines that sound way too good for obsolete designs, and they are in fact just about in every way better than the E-11. After Han blasts off on the planet, he has to fight his way past some more Espos, and he does this by playing chicken with a bulk cruiser. Reading this novel in 2020, I really get vibes of both Guardians of the Galaxy and Cowboy Bebop, and one wonders if either property was inspired by this book. Han has to use some of his money from the gun run to pay back a loan shark named Pluvo 2-for-1. Han, being a smart bastard, surmises that Pluvo will try to rip him off, and thus he picks up a diversion, a little beastie called a dinko. Han meets up with Pluvo in a local bar, and Pluvo gives him the runaround, and some Espos show up. The Espos tell Han that his ship has been impounded, and that it has thankfully not been crushed into a cube, but that he needs a waiver to use his super-powered ship. As the Espos lead Han and Chewie away, Pluvo opens up a cash box that Han gave him, unleashing the power of the dinko. With that, Han escapes, and with a few more cool Han moments, Han heads out in search of the outlaw techs. I will be skipping a bunch of cool Han moments, as there are at least 2 or 3 per chapter. One other thing to point out is that Han says on one occasion that he always shoots first and never second. This was years before the Han shot first controversy. Did Brian Daley have a bloody time machine or something? The outlaw techs are led by a guy named Doc and his daughter. As you would expect, old Han has had some docking board fun with the daughter. Han arrives on the Outlaw Tech planet. Also, fun fact, when I used to review homebrew stuff, I used the name Outlaw Tech as the show title in tribute to the Outlaw Tech scene in this novel. Only to find that Doc has gone missing. The daughter gives Han a deal. If Han finds her father, she and the techs will fix up a ship. Han reluctantly takes the deal, citing that he wants to grow old in the old spaceman's home. Good luck, Han! You got 40 years of adventuring yet to come! The mission to find Doc is a complex one. Han and Chewie have to sneak onto a corporate sector data world and search the mainframe to see if the Espos actually got him. The novel introduces 2 cool characters to assist Han and Chewie. You've got a load of old bollocks, the labor droid, and Blue Max, the super USB hacker / analog powered Cortana. In universe, it is acknowledged that bollocks is a bit of a cheeky name, even though basic shouldn't work like that, but whatever. Bollocks is really bloody interesting because he is a general labor droid that has actually achieved full sapience. He has upgraded both his mind and body to stay useful, as he says that being useless is like death to a droid. He has numerous cool lines and really shines as a character. Blue Max is the Robo-Kid. He has just been activated and has a lot to learn, but despite this, he is also fully sapient as well. The plan is this: Han will deliver bollocks, or if you're in the UK, Zolix, and fun fact, it is said that Zolix is an alias that Bollocks sometimes uses, and Blue Max to the data world. Bollocks will carry Blue Max in a specifically designed smuggling compartment built into his chest to the mainframe of the data world, and Blue Max will hack in. Before Han can blast off again, the Espos show up. Cue epic spacefight, and more epic Han-ness. This novel also marks the first time the Z-95 Headhunter is mentioned, although here it is very different from what it would become later. After the space battle, Han and company head to the data world. Upon arriving, they meet up with the Outlaw Tech's contact there, named Rickon. Rickon is part of a conspiracy that is trying to find the Lost Ones. Numerous people have gone missing across the corporate sector, and a small group of dissenters are trying to find them. The contact also says that there is a traitor amongst them. More awesomeness ensues, as if there was any doubt. Han and Chewie have to accompany Blue Max and Rickon to the data center, and they are joined by Rickon's companions. And as you would expect, the Espos find them, but also as you would expect, Blue Max gets the data and an epic escape ensues. But Chewbacca gets kidnapped by the Espos. Han rages out, but leaves him behind so that he can rescue him later. The traitor plays his hand and kills Rickon. This really messes up Han. Throughout the novel, Han talks a big game about being a mercenary, but as you would expect, he does a poor job of not giving a damn. Han does learn where Chewie is being held, a place called Star's End. He's able to trick the traitor into outing himself by getting the traitor to say the name of the planet that Star's End is on. The traitor rolls a 0 and escapes Han only to lock himself into the Falcon's emergency airlock. Oops. The traitor tries to buy Han off, and Han's response is, tell it to Rickon. With all the elements in place, it's time for Han to be a badass enough hero to rescue the Chewbacca and a bunch of other people too. My copy of the Han Solo Adventures was old when I got it, and over the decades, I put more and more wear and tear on it. And this first novel should be proof as to why Star Wars got everything bloody well right. You have here an epic space adventure with cool dogfights, blaster battles, and a bunch of awesome character moments. It's the characters that will keep you coming back again and again. Bollocks is anything but, and he is a fascinating character study into the mind of a sapient machine, and he and Blue Max are very endearing. Despite being written in 1979, you would think that this book was hot off the presses today, as much of the language is perfectly comprehensible, although a few words have changed here and there, such as making something fast. Even I was confused for a bit when I read that. The novel also does not rely on somehow. Han never somehow does something. When Han does something, he either plans it or thinks it through. And the novel does not end with a Deus Ex Machina, and the characters earn their victory. This is another great gateway into the Star Wars universe. If you thought that Star Wars was nothing but kid stuff with laser swords and magical powers, give old Han a try and see what you've been missing. And so I'm General Lotz, wishing you good Han Solo's Revenge and good Han Solo and the Lost Legacy, or whatever makes you happy. If you enjoyed this video, please consider subscribing, and if you can, please consider supporting me on Patreon so that I can continue bringing you this great content. Oh, you know what's coming. If you thought the first part of the novel was great, this last bit takes the space cake. Star's End is a big fuck-off doom prison on a random bit of rock. It has molecularly bonded armor and a concussion field. Han remarks that it is a bit of copious consumption and is not really necessary, but hey, corporate sector, right? Thanks to a stray transmission from Star's End, Han and company learn that they have a need for a performance troupe because the people running the prison are getting bored. Oh, I love Star Wars. Han and company con their way into the prison by masquerading as some circus performers. And while there, they learn that the warden is a colossal asshole, sort of like Dick Jones in RoboCop. And like Dick Jones, he has a big fuck-off penis replacement gladiator droid, and Space Dick Jones thinks that Han and his fake performance troupe are bringing bollocks for the gladiator droid to beat up on. Han has part of his team distract Space Dick Jones while he pretends to go off and fix Blue Max, who is masquerading as part of Bollocks. Han is able to get Blue Max to find Chewbacca. Chewie is being held along with the other prisoners in stasis tubes. This means that the prison has minimal staffing, thus meaning there are very few guards for Han to fight. Such good writing. Han uses his technology to fuck up the circuitry at Star's End to get the power plant to blow. Meanwhile, Space Dick grows weary of Han's companion's antics and orders Bollocks to fight the gladiator droid. The fight between the two is pretty good, and Bollocks gives it his all, but stands little chance. When Blue Max learns that Bollocks is in need of assistance, he forces Han to take him to Bollocks. That is one tough little cube. The last bit of the novel gets so good. Blue Max helps Bollocks win the fight, and then Star's End goes into orbit. That's right, due to Han's rigging, the power plant for Star's End blows, and due to the design of Star's End, the force is angled down and blows the prison into orbit, or rather, puts it into an arcing trajectory, but whatever. So now, Han has to rescue the prisoners in a prison that is falling with style. I told you this book was fuck awesome. To make a short story short, the prison break is one long Han, and there is even a touching scene where Han helps a beat up Bollocks make it to the Falcon just before the prison hits the ground. And as you would expect from a novel of this quality, Bollocks gets rebuilt, Doc and a bunch of political prisoners get saved, and Han walks off into the sunset with the girl.